We'll be ready. Right. So we're just waiting for people to join in. I think I can see people joining in. Nice.
Yeah, I can see people trickle in. Hello, hello. Welcome. Feel free to say hi in the comments. Talk to me about something fun you've done today because I've had a very exhausting day and I want to know.
Oh my God. And you are in the UK. So I think it's towards almost like 7 p.m. Oh no, 6 p.m. or 7
It is 6 p.m. Yeah.
6 p.m. Right. Oh, I
But we
really
did
appreciate it.
have a sunny day today. And that is a rare treat.
Oh, you did. I think the sun from Toronto went to the other side of the world. So we did not have the sun today.
Listen, we have to have it sometime, you know? You guys get the
Absolutely.
sun all the time. Let me have some sunshine in Manchester.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. I see that quite a lot of people has already tuned in. While we do the intro, more people will be joining in as we go. You already know the topics. I'm not going to bore you with the outline the topic. And I know growing organic traffic is one of all of our SEOs and marketers' dream and goals. Like, as part of the role, this is one of the goal we all look forward to. So we will be talking about quite a lot of strategies as well as some tactics, how you can actually take those tactics and implement right away, right after the webinar into your SEO strategy and your current process. So you don't have to tweak your process quite a lot. With us, we have Lydia. So you already know her from quite a lot of conferences that she speak at, MOSCON, Brighton SEO, quite a lot of other SEO conferences and marketing conferences she has spoken at. And she has obviously amazing 8 years of experience working in SEO industry and now heading the SEO initiative for one of awesome, we're just chatting about the CMS that they have. Do you want to do a quick intro, Lydia?
Yes, I do. Let me just sort out my slides. They're like just preparing for the moment where you asked me to present my screen. And you
Okay,
caught
in the
me
meantime,
during a hiccup.
I can quickly do the housekeeping item so that you get sorted with your slides.
Yeah.
So
All
we
right. So
will.
hi, everybody. Oh, sorry. I
It's
interrupted you.
okay. No, it's okay. Go
Okay.
ahead with the intro.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lydia Infante. I've been working in SEO for about 8 years. I'm in Barcelona. I had no idea that I was going to end up in SEO. I guess, as most of us, we've just kind of landed here and we love this crazy world of data and psychology and a little bit of coding sometimes, content. I'm in love with the industry. My background is actually in psychology. I started working in SEO because I was interested in women's rights. And I thought that there was no reliable source of information that actually had women's best interest in mind in Spain. So I decided to start my own. And it figures the way to get traffic for people looking to get their questions answered is SEO. After that, I worked in media, in e-commerce, and now I work in SaaS, which is one of my favorite industries. I work for Sanity.io, which is a composable content cloud. It's a fancy way of saying that it is some sort of, I can't say that. My brand team is going to kill me. It's not a CMS. It's better than a CMS. Okay. It is a composable content cloud, which means that you can reuse your content, create it once, distribute it to all channels. But literally, I would say it's like a pure CMS where you can own your content and reuse it, personalize it at a scale that's honestly incredible. Our clients surprise me every day, so I literally cannot tell you the amazing stuff because I would be breaking NDAs. But like some people here are doing such an incredible job. Anyway, I digress. We're going to be talking about SEO gap analysis today, which is something that I'm also obsessed with. I realized that most people tend to have a little bit of a bias when they come into a new job or they're creating an SEO strategy, right? I am a content person through and through. So obviously, when I join a new client or a new employer, I think, what can we do in terms of content? A technical person is going to say, what do we do in terms of technical? And someone that's been working link building or digital PR is going to be thinking about links and about brand. that might not be the thing that your website needs the most. If you're already the best at like one of those pillars of SEO, you don't need to keep hammering that on. So I really like an SEO gap analysis to remove those biases and actually create a data-driven SEO strategy that's gonna drive revenue and improve your career. And that's what I'm here to talk about.
Awesome. We're really excited to dig deeper into it. So we have a couple of slides that we both wanted to present. And as a reminder, feel free to leave your comment or chat, your question in the chat box. We'll obviously try our absolute best to take as many questions as we can. And we have some templates. So Lydia actually has 2 templates that we are going to circulate right after the webinar. So don't worry about taking notes or the slides or even the template. We'll be sending all of this, including the recording, after the webinar as usual. Yeah, without further ado, Lydia, do you want to just share your screen and take
Yes,
us
let's
through?
do it. Okay. Let's hope that I share the right bit of my screen. There we go.
It is awesome. Let's go.
Okay. Can you still see my screen or has this gone?
Yeah, I can see the
awesome.
about us page.
Awesome. Right. So this bit we've already done. Let's move on. Why are we doing a gap analysis? Because we are working in a bit of a zero-sum game. It's not entirely a zero-sum game when it comes to SEO, but it is true that ranking is outranking. There's 10 spaces in the first page of Google, and every ranking that you gain is a ranking that your competitor is losing. So it's not about how good your work is, it's about whether or not it's better than your competitors in the eyes of search engines. I like to think about this as in the 3 pillars of SEO. I divide the 3 pillars of SEO in technical, in content, and in links. Technical SEO has 2 roles. One that is towards search engines, which is allowing indexing and allowing crawling and all of the little things that we do to help Google understand what our page is about and avoid getting stuff that we don't want indexed. So that would be in e-commerce, all of your faceted navigation management, or in SaaS, just keeping the hidden stuff hidden. Then it's got another version to it, another layer to it, which is enabling users to find and enjoy our content. This is more like the web performance optimization side of things. And then when we go on to links or brand or authority, there's like a million ways to call this. I'm just going to go with links for most of this presentation, even though that's not entirely accurate, and we can go into it. This pillar of SEO, what this pillar is about is, does this publisher know what they're talking about? And we can do this through EAT, which also has some on-page elements. We can do this through brand. We can do this through link building. There's many approaches to this, but essentially what we're trying to say is the content is good. And last but not least, we've got the content, which is the protagonist of this story. Technical SEO is there to enable content. Links are there to vouch for the content. And the content itself is what users are looking for and what is going to satisfy user intent, which is why we say that content is queen. So we are trying to avoid the bias of going into what we think is going to fit our skill set best. If we're already the very, very best in terms of technical SEO, becoming even better is likely not going to further our advantage in the SERPs. So we're going to have to go a different direction. We're going to have to find what is our weakest pillar, and we're going to have to make a strategy to improve it. So 3 questions.
Sorry, quick one. I think you're
yes.
I'm getting some messages that your audio or mic dropped a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah. Can you
hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you okay. Is it better?
Okay, do let us know if it's
much
not
better,
working out.
Yeah, it's
all
good.
right, awesome. I can see that today this mic is going to have to do a Britney Spears mic. Thank you for letting us know that it wasn't working for you. All right.
I appreciate
We
that.
need to answer 3 questions. Who are our competitors? What are they doing better than us? And how are we going to do it better than them? So the very first question obviously is, who are our competitors? We're going to have to do an exercise of competitor identification. When it comes to search competitors, I think many people get it wrong. I like to think of search competitors as competitors that meet 3 types of criteria. Are they targeting the same keywords that I'm targeting? This is the obvious one. This is what most people mean when they talk about their SEO competitors. Are they speaking to the same audience that I am speaking to? So if I am a B2B distributor, I don't really need to worry about little e-commerce stores that sell B2C. And then are they making me obsolete? Like, are these competitors substituting the need for me? Imagine you are a pillow company, right? You're selling pillows, and one of your queries is how to improve your sleep quality. A mattress, a company that sells mattress, you probably sell mattresses as well if you sell pillows, but bear with me for this example. A mattress company is not going to make you obsolete. They're also selling products that improve your customers' sleep. So you can kind of coexist and on occasion partner on the SERPs, even though you are targeting the same demographics and you are targeting the same keywords. Now, how do you identify them? There is something that I recommend. You can always do it manually, like go through your keywords and check out who's there. This is going to give you a good feel of what the SERPs for your target keywords look like, but it is not a data-driven approach. It is very fast and it's going to make you familiar with what your users see, but it is not data-driven. So there is a semi-data-driven approach that I like to take. The advantages of this approach, this is best for established businesses, and it can help you build a little bit of rapport within your new client or in your new company. Have a chat with other departments and ask them to compile a list of competitors. Departments that you should be speaking to is marketing. If you're not already speaking or sitting in the marketing department, you should be speaking to sales, you should be speaking to support, and you should be speaking to the most senior leader that makes sense for you to be talking to. Now, if you just joined Amazon, don't go knocking on Jeff Bezos' door, okay? Maybe there is a senior VP of something that you can speak to. This is a strategic move because this person's going to feel like they have had a hand in selecting the competitors. So they have had a hand in helping you craft your strategy. This is one of the ways in which you can get some form of sponsorship from leadership for your strategy, which is one of the pros of this strategy. It helps you build relationships within the company. Then you're going to go on any of your favorite competitor research tools. I have a screenshot here of Systrix, but it literally could be any. And cross-reference the list that you got with what the tool is giving you. This should give you a pretty decent sweet spot between product competitors, so the people that your departments and colleagues think are competitors, and search competitors, so the brands that Google thinks are competing with you. Now there's a more long-winded one. I like it better because, like, since we're at it, let's just be very thorough with things. And I think it is really easy to sell to leadership as well because of how extremely data-driven it is. But it is slower and it takes a pretty decent chunk of your work. This is best for new sites. So if you're working on creating a new niche site, or maybe the company that you're working with is not as established in terms of SEO, this is going to be the framework for you. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to identify your target keywords. You're going to put these target keywords in any of your favorite SEO research tools, and you're going to download the top 10 results from the SERPs. Now you're going to do some spreadsheet wizardry to understand how much of the SERPs these competitors dominate. I am providing a template to go with this specific competitor identification method, just because if I was here to sit here and tell you about the Excel spreadsheet, you don't want to know. It's too long. An advantage of this method is that you can cluster your topics, your keywords by topic, and then understand if you have a pretty broad offering, who are your competitors per bit of your offering. This is kind of what this would look like without drilling down into specific topics. And that link right there is going to take you to the template that you can recycle and reuse. Just make a copy. You're going to have viewing access, but not edit access. Copy it and make it your own. It comes with instructions as well, so it should be pretty easy to follow. Also, if you want to learn more about competitor identification, I have this very thorough guide here that's going to take you through like a more in-depth step-by-step and why choose each of these. So we've answered the first question. We know who our competitors are. We're going to go ahead and answer the second question through SEO benchmarking. Sorry. Nizam, are we good here? Do we have any questions for this first section? Do you want me to dive deeper into anything?
No, I think it's good. I think, yeah, so everyone is asking about the resources. Yes, we will be obviously emailing the link as well as the templates.
Exactly. So you're all going to get everything.
Yes.
And the template, very thorough. I hope it works for you. So now it's time to do the benchmarking. We're going to reverse engineer our competitors' SEO strategy using data. I'm going to start with content because I'm a content girly. And I'm going to tell you about some of the metrics that I'm going to use. Now, if these metrics are not relevant to you, scrap it, find the ones that are going to matter the most to you. This methodology is mostly inspired from my experience in SaaS. I do make some mentions to how you can approach this in e-commerce. There are no mentions of how you can approach this in media. But down to business. Content metrics that I like looking at, number of keywords that my competitors are ranking in 1 to 30, and then number of keywords that they're ranking in 1 to 10, and then the percentage of how many of their top 30 keywords are in their top 10 as well. This is going to give me an idea of content breadth and also content quality. There's something that I do that is I divide the traffic, the estimated traffic that the tools give me for my competitors by type. I like dividing it in several different like clusters. So I make branded and I make unbranded. Then I grab this branded cluster, put it to the side, and we're going to look at it later. Then when I grab unbranded traffic, I want to think editorial content or product content. So are these queries around my product and its features, or are these queries that are going to fit or traffic that is going to my blog, my resources section, my white papers? In SaaS, it can also be going to the developer section of your website. So you might also want to make a cluster, like a separation for that type of traffic. And then I compare how I'm doing in each of these departments versus my competitors. Once you have all of these clustered down, you might have an idea of how many editorial URLs your competitors have. Write that number down and then give me the estimated editorial traffic divided by editorial URL. This is going to give you an idea of whether your competitors are opting for content volume or content quality. And I call this editorial efficiency. When you go onto the template for this, that's what this metric is called. And I also throw in a keyword gap analysis for good measure. It's not included here, but I will add it in the chat later. I use my competitors' ranking to measure the keyword relevance at scale for my company. Hard to explain. I will add it in the chat, also with a template, also with instructions. So now that we have measured content, we're going to, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot that I had this slide. This slide is actually very good. This is what the content benchmark looked like for me when I joined Sanity in June. I was looking at our competitors and I saw that we have some pretty decent estimated traffic. We're at the top for editorial traffic. We're doing much better now that I've had 9 months to work with them. We have a pretty decent amount of editorial URLs, but we're not having like the most editorial URLs. So we could use some more content. And clearly our editorial efficiency, which is estimated traffic divided by editorial URLs, is pretty high. Now we're going to go on to brand metrics. I can see that making this presentation, I chickened out calling it link metrics, and I ended up calling it brand metrics. But we are going to be looking at links. We're going to be looking at the number of referring domains and the number of backlinks separately. Then we're going to divide backlinks versus referring domains, and we're going to get an idea of how much repetition these competitors are getting. We're going to go for total link gap. So how many referring domains do I have? And how many referring domains does my competitor have? What is the difference there? We're also going to be looking at how my competitor is growing links. So you can do this on a monthly basis, every 6 months or every year. If you're in iGaming, you probably want to do it monthly. E-commerce, you're good doing it every 3 months. In SaaS, most of the time, you're going to be good doing it every 6 months. And you're going to look at how fast your competitors are picking up the pace. Because if you think to yourself, I have 1,000 links today, my competitor has 1,250. I just need 250 in the next 6 months to match them. You're going to miss out on your competitor is also getting links. So the gap is going to be growing based on the link growth rate. We're going to look at domain authority just to have it there. There is a recent update to the world of domain authority metrics that I really like. I really like the way that SEMrush has been doing authority scoring. They divide the authority scoring into 3 buckets, how natural the link profile looks, the link power that this domain can have, and the amount of traffic. And I think it really helps balance out and weed out spammy domains that might be looking more authoritative than they are. So maybe grab DA, maybe use SEMrush's domain authority, and note down those 3 factors that come into the authority score. Now, this is a little bit more like beyond the concept of links. I really like looking at the brand search volume as an indicator of awareness. Clearly, the more you search about a brand, the more you are likely to know it. If you don't know the brand, you're never going to search for it. It's worked as a pretty decent indicator for me for a few years. So I like measuring it, and I like keeping track of how brand search volume evolves every 6 months to a year. Then I look at branded traffic. So how much estimated traffic is coming to the site through branded keywords. And this one is qualitative data, not quantitative data. I look at their brand positioning. If you want to do it at scale, there's like the import XML function on Google Sheets, but you can also just go onto your competitor's homepage and take a look and note it down. What is their meta title? What is their meta description? What is their H1 and what is their H2? And now I'm going to show you what this looks like for Sanity, or what this looked like for Sanity 6 months ago, and talk about it a little bit. So in terms of branded traffic, we weren't at the top, but we weren't doing too badly. We were kind of half of what our top competitor had. In terms of backlinks, we were quite behind into what our competitors have. After that, I dived a little deeper into the backlink analysis and the link gap analysis, and I figured that the links, the number of backlinks that looked so big in there was actually quite low quality, and I didn't have to worry about that much. We look at referring domains because that's a little bit more interesting. We look at branded search. In branded search, we can see something interesting, okay? So if you look at our branded traffic and you look at our branded search, you're going to notice something. We are towards the bottom of the market in terms of branded traffic, but towards the upper end of the market in terms of branded search. Now, what does this suggest to you? Well, if you're thinking that we didn't have enough pages responding to our branded queries, that we're able to rank for those branded queries, you'd be correct. I am measuring the link growth rate on a every 6 months basis. So I measure the amount of referring domains that all of my competitors and we had 6 months ago and did a link growth analysis. This is a super competitive market. When I saw this, I was shocked. And I'm currently still shocked after becoming even more familiar with what this market looks like. Then when it comes to the data that I mentioned earlier, that is qualitative instead of quantitative, you can kind of get a good feel about what my competitors are trying to position themselves as. Competitor number one is clearly saying we are a headless CMS. Competitor number two is clearly saying headless CMS as well. And competitor number three goes a little bit more on the benefit aspect of it. Now, if you look at what we are doing, that is confusing. I looked at our homepage for very long during my the recruitment process, just trying to figure out what we do. To this day, I understand what we do. I can't explain it very well, but here we are. Our H1 set content is data. What on earth did we mean? I don't know. I know now that we treat content as data. That's one of the things that allows us to be extremely flexible with the way that we deploy content. Just imagine a gigantic database of content tagged in a JSON LD format, and everything that you could do with it. SEOs are creative, so you can get pretty wild. And we define ourselves as a unified content platform. So it is pretty different, and I can see that headless CMS is probably going to be a query that I want to keep track on. Currently, we're on ranking number 1 for that. So then I hate saying it depends, but when it comes to tech SEO metrics, it absolutely depends. I have found ways to measure numerically, so like in a quantitative way, how much effort a brand is putting onto their technical SEO, but it does not show the full picture. If you find through these gap analysis that technical SEO is your weak spot, you're going to have to dive a lot deeper into it because it can get complicated. So instead of telling you I'm just going to show you. I use a benchmark that averages the percentage of good URLs on Core Web Vitals. So you can see it here on largest contentful paint, on CLS, on FID. What is the percentage of URLs that are classed as good? I average this number out and I get a Core Web Vitals score. This Core Web Vitals score completely made up. I made it up for this specific benchmark, but it does tell me who's investing the most into their web performance optimization. Then I use page speed for mobile, page speed for desktop. Funnily enough, we were kind of like in the mid to lower range, but the competitor that prided themselves the most on web performance optimization is this one here, the one that's doing worst. Interesting. So now that we have benchmarked the 3 pillars of SEO, we kind of need to find out where are we doing worse than our competitors. And for us, it was clearly brand. We were doing worse in terms of branded content that answer branded queries, in terms of backlinks and referring domains, and we needed to work on it. Now, have you ever been new at a job and asked your manager for link building budget? Just try it. Go ahead and say, oh yeah, I just need like 10K a month. We're going to be doing digital PR. I'm going to be creating these data-driven campaigns, and I'm going to go out into the world representing our brand. This is my first month, by the way. I'm going to be representing our brand to all of these journalists all around the world. And your manager's going to go like, ha, okay, why don't you do a tech audit? We don't want that.
It's
So we're
typically
going.
It's typically negative budget for link building for most companies.
I find that if you get link building budget too easy, it's a little bit of a red flag. People want to protect their brand, and it makes sense. If you're new to the brand, how are you gonna go to the CMO or the CEO and say, "I want money, and I am going to go out into the world and talk about it"? I struggled to introduce sanity here, and I've been there for 9 months. So month one, don't give me link building budget. But we are going to dive into little tips and tricks in that department. Let's continue on to the action part of the gap analysis. You've got a beautiful spreadsheet. It's gigantic and color coded. It's got conditional format in the template. So like knock yourselves out. It is fun. But a spreadsheet on its own, not gonna give you any ROI. It's gonna be wasted hours and tons of color. So we're going to need to make a growth plan. We're going to identify our weakest pillar first, and we will identify it. It's brand for us. And we're going to have to understand why we're not performing. We know that we are missing some pages for branded search, and we know that we should be getting some more referring domains onto our site. Now, once I analyzed this a little bit deeper, I realized that the quality of other brands' links were not that high, that where the links were pointed was mostly to the homepage, and that actually the pieces of content that were driving revenue were doing quite all right versus our competitors in terms of links. So it was a matter of improving content. But diving into our competitors' strategy did help me understand what things we could do to actually do better than them. And then you just roadmap how to improve. In our case, it was, create those pages and reach out to some of our partners for link building, do some skyscraper link building. And eventually I did manage to get link building budget for a little bit. It worked really well. And you get stakeholder buy-in. But I would recommend that you start with the pillar that requires the least buy-in. In my case, it was content, generating content from a profile that has like tons of content experience. You can definitely trust me generating content and managing a content operations machine. It was much easier to get started on content, get our content ranking, write relevant content for our brand, and well, hire somebody to write it. And then make sure that it ranked and that it kept all of our stakeholders happy. The brand was happy, product was happy, development was happy, our users were happy. Once you've gained the trust through that, you can go and ask for link building budget if that's what you need. And you gotta put it to work. You gotta execute. Beautiful plan, execute it, and keep track of your progress. So if 6 months ago, competitor number 2 was the leader in terms of estimated traffic for CMS related queries, and now you're the leader, have a little graph that says that beautifully and bring it to your performance review, because maybe you deserve a raise. Now, if you like this, here is the gap analysis template. You can go ahead, change everything, obviously make a copy, change everything, adapt it to your own strategy. And if this is working for you, please ping me on my socials or wherever you can find me, because I would love to hear what your experience is like. Also, if you fancy going headless and giving sanity a try, since I've done such a terrible job at explaining it, I'm sure you're curious. I've created a special page for people in the SEO community, sanity.io/SEO community. You get a free boosted plan, some sanity resources. And in case you're wondering what the headless SEO, there is a guide written by me in there that can help you out. So thank you. And let's talk about questions and let's talk about practical implementation.
Awesome. Well, that was really, really helpful, and definitely a roadmap to your next raise. The magic that you can track. But I think in all seriousness, it is important. I think most of us like digital marketers, we are so sucked into like the day-to-days, like we hardly look at the bigger picture, right? So I think even though we should, but I think this template will definitely help people stay organized, stay at the top of the goal, and even like see whether things are improving or not, right? It just, tracking is always the key. Cool. So I have a couple of slides. I'll try to keep it quick, and we do have a couple of questions. We'll take them towards the end. So obviously you have, thank you, and you have a plan and a strategy. I'm expecting that by now you'll have the buy-in to invest into whatever the gap that you found or the strategy that you should implement going forward. And now this part will kind of help you dig deeper into it. Now you don't necessarily have to wait until you do the full analysis. You could start however way you want, but the best strategy is that use the template and then have your pillar picked and then go after it. So I'll just quickly share my screen. If you could let me know if you can see my screen. Is it sharing?
Yep, we can see it.
Awesome. So one of the things that we recently started doing for content and a couple of our sites that we have. So we do have a couple of other businesses that we acquired from our business. And technical SEO has always been a challenge. And I was just looking through one of our site, and that the technical score is terrible. So I'm like, this can be a good example to show what are the things that are low-hanging fruits that you don't necessarily look into from day-to-day perspective, because we're so driven by the ranking, the traffic, and a bunch of other stuff, but we don't necessarily look into the things that drives that ranking going forward. For tools, obviously everyone has their favorite tools. The Google tools are awesome because it gives you raw data. Search Console now just came up with a BigQuery integration, so you can actually pull data in bulk and analyze it from there. But from technical perspective, you still have to use their UI to kind of look through what's happening with your site. Page Speed Insight, which Lydia mentioned, Screaming Frog is my favorite. It's a little bit of hands-on. You have to invest quite a lot of time to kind of dig deeper into data. SEMrush, obviously, and Ahrefs, they have both of them. They have site audit tool, which you could utilize to improve your technical SEO health. Now, this is one of our site that we have, not content site, the main site. As you can see, like as soon as I go to Search Console, these are real data from real people visiting our site. Almost all of that site is a really tiny site. 80 of them, they're failing. The good thing is the mobile usability is good. So at least one good thing, but then definitely huge opportunity into the Core Web Vital, the page experience that we have on the site. And then if I go into Core Web Vital, terrible, right? 0 poor URL. And if it is in a red mark, if it is in like a need improvement category, you are okay. You still obviously should aim to go into 0, all 100% good URL. So this is something will definitely help you identify where you could invest your time. Whereas in desktop, it is a little bit different. Obviously, we know mobile usually looks into the resources that you have. So depending on the devices, you should prioritize what exactly you should focus on to begin with. And then this is basically telling me that my mobile usability is good, which is awesome. At least out of 3 categories, I have one thing that is happening going in the right direction. And going into the Page Speed Insight, this is by far my favorite tool when it comes to the speed analysis. Obviously, you can use GTmetrix and a bunch of other tools. But here, if you are using it from a regular basis, you can see like what's happening here. Like they will tell you if it is failing, and then each category that they have is terrible. 7.3 second for LCP. It's beyond acceptable, obviously, where this is why we're investing our time into this site. But if I dig deeper into the tool, if you scroll down into Page Speed Insight to report, you could see what are the things that actually cause these numbers that you see at the top to go down. Now, one of the things, I'm pretty confident that you are going to see this on every single site that you're analyzing. If you don't, please let me know, which is the render blocking resources. This site is based on WordPress, so quite a lot of sites that scripts that we have. So they are from CDN, and we use Kingsta. So obviously they are hosting it through their CDN, which is why it's kind of causing quite a lot of issues when the JavaScript loads. So which is why this is causing a significant delay. And they're actually blocking our site to render it, which is impacting the LCP as well as FCP. And the JavaScript and the CSS, these are the two things that you could do if it is on WordPress. So you could use a plugin which will help you pick the script and CSS that you should run on specific pages. If you, let's say, for example, have a contact us form on contact us page, so you don't have to run that JavaScript on every single pages of your site. You could use that plugin to exclude them from running on every pages. And if you use a CMS like Sanity, obviously they are technical SEO categories. Definitely, it's by design in a way centrally configured, I believe. So obviously, these are the things that you will see less on CMS like this. But if you're using WordPress or custom CMS, you will have to deal with quite a lot of JavaScript and CSS issues, and that seems to be most of, I would say, like one of the main reason that your loading speed is impacted by. What I love about Ahrefs tool is that will give you more information beyond just your loading speed. And I mean, they do look at the crawl, they look at the response time, if you have 404 errors, and a bunch of other stuff. But the things that you could look at, for example, this one, the orphan pages has no incoming internal links. We know if you're following all the SEO influencers, we know that internal links has significant impact on your ranking. So if you see this number is like, significantly higher as ours, definitely invest your time, try to improve it, and you will see, definitely you'll see ranking improvements from week 1 or week 2. And my recommendation is go through the list, see what are the things that you can take care of yourself. For example, an internal link, most SEOs should be able to take care by themselves. If it is something to do with 404 or server error, these are the things that you need to probably involve your developer. If you have development skills and expertise, definitely you don't have to worry about it. You can do it on your own. One of the things that I recently started utilizing a lot, which is log file. So I call it bonus because that's kind of beyond our typical tools that we use. And SEMrush actually came up with a log file analyzer. Obviously, this is paid subscription that you have to pay. Not sure if log file analyzer is actually free to use. However, if you download your log file, and I will include a link in the follow-up email where you can see how you can download your log file from your server. If you are using shared hosting, you can download it from there, or your hosting provider should be able to give it to you, and upload the file. It will tell you what's happening, the status code. I love this here that it says 14 URL is returning 400 errors. Now, what that means is that either people or Google bot, Bing bot, any other bots coming to your site, they're seeing those pages as an error. There's 45 pages that have 300 errors. That could be 301 redirect, 302 redirect, whatever the case is. And you can actually export the data into Excel, analyze it, prioritize it, and fix those issues. What is also interesting here is that the crawl frequency, you can see based on your pages that you have. This is another example, not our site. One of my friends' site has an e-commerce website. It says like every 29 minutes, usually the bots or the visitor comes and crawl it. Mostly it's bots. They're coming and crawling it. And these data, actually, I think the data you see here mostly are from Google Smartphone and Google Desktop. So they don't have any features beyond this, just literally showing you very basic information about the server or your website, how bots are seeing your site. However, if you use Screaming Frog, they also have a log file analyzer, just completely separate tool than their typical, their standard tool. Completely free to use for one project. If you have multiple projects, you obviously have to buy a subscription. I strongly recommend using it. You can see a bunch of data here beyond just the preview or at least summary of it. The interesting thing here is that you can see the similar thing, like the client error 400 errors 3, but then redirect, and as well as some other errors here. You can see what are the bots coming to your site. If I deal a little bit deeper, I can see how many bots are coming and the pages, or literally the times they're coming to my sites for the specific period. If you upload multiple files, log files, it will just start to kind of show you history. And then if I go here, which is very, very interesting report that I love, sometimes like we tend to put our pages underneath multiple parent pages. So just, you go deeper into the URL, you have homepage, then you have product page, you have a bunch of other product page, 3 level down, sounds okay. But if you push it down, it will have problem like this, which is they're not going to come and crawl those sites, because again, the crawl budget as in how many pages they will crawl during a time based on your arrows on the side. You might not have all the pages crawled every time a crawler comes to your site. So here, as you can see on the right side here, Bing bots usually go 2 level down, and that's where they stay most of the time. They don't go 3rd level down. If you care so much about it, probably you should either submit a sitemap. If you don't have Bing Webmaster set up, strongly recommend doing this, because then you train their bot that I have more pages than what you can discover from internal links. Obviously sitemap, sometimes it isn't updated, which is why you have to make sure that your sitemap is always updated so that the crawler can read through the pages through your sitemap. And another thing that I kind of wanted to mention is the structured data. This is a huge opportunity for most of the businesses, especially for companies that are in generate, like, your money, your life content. So the author data, author structured data will definitely help you improve your EAT score. And then also, like, the other structured data that you have, if you have FAQs, if you, let's have courses or books or article, whatever the case is, you could definitely use structured data to tell Google that this page is about books, or this is a course page, or whatever the case is, this is an event page. They can, they're very smart. Obviously, you will know that, Google bot, they can understand the intent of the page. They can read and understand the content. However, by adding structured data, you make it easy for them to rank it. So this is obviously from Google. I'll also include this in the follow email. And if you actually go through this page, you will see that Rotten Tomato added structured data and to literally 100,000 unique pages, and measured a 25% click-through rate for those pages with enhanced structured data. Now, how they have done it, obviously, if you go through the sites, you will see like the bunch of structured data they have added. One of the favorite one that I love, which is the FAQs and how-tos videos, and obviously the events is another thing that you could use for FAQs. If you have content, one of the things they could always do, if you're writing an article, always you can add FAQs towards the end, or even your services, right? For example, Sanity, like, if you want to talk about like this CMS, like what does it do? Like, how do you do that? Like in this specific feature, I'm sure you guys add quite a lot of FAQs, structured data in your CMS, but this will
Can
help
I tell you about how we
Yeah.
do it? Do you mind?
Absolutely.
So
Go
we've
ahead.
got a really cool thing going on in the way that we manage our FAQs. When you go through like a classic article on the internet, you typically go to the bottom and there's a section that says frequently asked questions. And when you read it, you think, nobody has ever asked this, and SEO has done it. The way that we do it on Sanity is at the end of every heading that ends with a question mark, that heading is taken as a question, as a schema question, and the immediately below paragraph is taken as a schema answer. So automatically at scale, we get FAQ schema sorted.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's baked into your product. You don't necessarily have to add those manually.
Well, you need to tell your product, like the product, to do it, because every implementation is super unique,
right?
Which is why it's so hard to explain. But my implementation, because our marketing website is on Sanity, so we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk, and we do use the super advanced possibilities that we've got to streamline FAQ data, and I really like it, and it helped us rank #1 for headless CMS.
Is it fair to say it is custom CMS for each user or each company that uses it? I'm guessing it is custom, right?
I would say it behaves a lot like a custom CMS, but without having to hire 6 developers to maintain your custom CMS, because we maintain it for you. And the customization is baked into the product.
Well, this is definitely awesome. I think we struggle a lot. So recently we started implementing author schema on our site. And obviously with WordPress, it's a challenge. You always have to either use plugin. If you use plugin, then increase your loading speed because there's another script to run on your site. And if you use GTM, sometimes Google can't even read those tags, which is even more annoying.
I love author schema, and I have a plan, okay? This is just dreams. Mind me, this is not implemented, it's just dreams.
Okay.
When I talk to my authors, I have a structured bio that I ask them to write. And like I send it out with examples, and I offer to write it myself if they're too embarrassed to write their own bio. And I use like the EAT concepts or EAT concepts. So I go, what do you do at Sanity and for how long? And what is your background? So brag about where you've worked, brag about your degree, brag about anything and everything. And one day I was, being ambitious, and I grabbed the bios, put them on ChatGPT, and I asked it like, turn this into person schema and enrich the person schema with a short bio and like place of birth, and detect like the professional achievements or academic achievements that can be added through schema markup. And it wasn't perfect, but it was very decent. And after I refined the prompt several times and we figure out different ways of like actually turned naturally written bios into structured data, I've put it in the backlog to be able to turn all of our author bios automatically into enriched person schema with a personal validation point before it goes live onto the workflow. I just love all the stuff that we can dream of doing with like this type of composable technology. But also it's not just the technologies, as people coming up with silly little experiments that we can go live with.
Absolutely. I think this is definitely awesome. Actually, this is a good idea. We will probably utilize it for sure. And I think it's sad that people like, so focused into, oh, you can create content through ChatGPT. I think it's beyond that. Like it's way beyond just creating content. Sure, it can give you ideas and generate content, which is on the website, but like things like that, like, makes our life easier. I literally use ChatGPT every single day for something, either this or that. Like it's just so much easier, right?
I haven't written projects of my own since it came out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for sharing. I really appreciate that. And I'll pick your brain with the schema for the author. And maybe we can share some data once you implement it, how the performance are improving from EAT perspective. I'll do the same as well.
Maybe it fails spectacularly in all of our traffic tanks. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way, but yeah, the possibilities are endless. So we'll give it a try. Awesome. So you have all these technical issues that obviously, that one of the things that you could do is just prioritize it. Don't go after everything to begin with, because then you will end up with nothing. And then implement, but most importantly, monitor the impact of the changes that you're making, because otherwise you would never know what are the things that are working for you or not. Now, moving into a little bit, obviously regularly audit, which Lydia also mentioned to your site, for technical errors, literally every other month, which you mentioned. So I think that kind of is fair to definitely do that. Moving into keyword gap. So I do have a couple of more slides. I'll try to kind of burn through as quickly as I can. I'm not sure if you could stay behind for a couple of more minutes for questions towards the end, Lydia. If you could.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, awesome. Now, the gap analysis, obviously, if you follow Lydia's template, and you will see that there are quite a lot of opportunities that you have in there. And then I love using tools, makes my life so much easier. You don't have to dig deeper by yourself and manually spend hours and hours finding data, which you could literally just use tools to find. Now, this is an example of SEMrush gap analysis tool, keyword gap analysis tool. So you just put your competitors. So I'm taking SEMrush as an example, and then their competitors, Href, Moz, and Backlinko. As soon as I hit compare, then I can see a bunch of data here. So here you could obviously see shared keyword between them, all the competitors that you're ranking and they're ranking. Missing keywords are very interesting one, because things that they are covering, but you're not covering. Also, like things that you are weak, you're not ranking, but they're ranking stronger than you, right? And then you can literally go through each one and then pick the keywords. One disclaimer here: do not go after every single keywords you see here. Pick the things that make sense to you or to you as your strategy, or if you already have a topic cluster, find out to see whether these keywords falling under those topic cluster. And obviously, if you're interested in topic cluster, want to learn more, there are quite a lot of webinars we have done over the last year. It should be on our YouTube channel. feel free to kind of look through those and ask me or Lydia any questions that you might have about that as well. And one interesting data point here is the weak ones. If I look at the weak, the opportunities here that I am not ranking compared to my competitors. For example, I'll take local SEO that, I'm ranking number 7, but other ones are ranking better than me. Now I have a sneaky way, which I typically, sometimes I do look at my competitors and I'm like, oh, let's see if I can outrank them based on my, which again, like if your benchmark is higher than your competitors, you could do quite a lot of experiments like this. So what I do, I go to SEMrush report, then I apply, I go to the weak one, and then I apply. So I say position changes decline. So my competitor's position declined, and then I say they are ranking in top 10. So if they're ranking in top 10, but their position declined, that gives me the keyword for, let's say, Ahrefs, right? And then they have declined for SEO tool over the last 2 days. Their ranking was 1, now they're ranking 3. If you remember 2 slides before, I don't rank for SEO tool higher than my competitors. So this is an opportunity that I can look through their blogs to see, compare what are the things that I can do better to rank higher for this keyword. And local SEO is another opportunities as well that I wasn't ranking, or I'm still not ranking, but they're dropping. So there's something in there that is happening. So Google might be looking at their site as like, maybe you're not as relevant as you are for, let's say, backlinks analysis, right? Because obviously local SEO is more tools like Bright Local, for example. This is an SEO tool, but if SEMrush has a feature or blog focusing on topic, focusing on that, strongly recommend that you look through this data to see the low-hanging fruits, the sneaky way to steal the traffic that you could easily gain, especially if you're ranking within, let's say, page 1 or page 2, because then you have more opportunities because your competitors are losing values in there. Now, if you have all this opportunity, what's next? The tactic that you could utilize to create an awesome brief. This is a little bit of manual work, so I apologize for that. You have to do some manual work. You search for the topic or the keyword that you are creating a brief for, analyze the content from the top 10 results. So go through each one, see what are the topics they're covering, and you will see gaps in between. Let's say competitor A talking about this, and then the other one isn't talking about the same topic, or their structure is a little bit different, and then look at different content type. Content isn't just text, it's images, it's videos, and a bunch of other stuff that you have, like, tweets and references, linking to tweets from Google, linking to, let's say, an article from Google, whatever the case is, depending on your industry. So if you're creating content in SEO industry, definitely look through those opportunities, and then combine all topics that covered in all top 10 results. Then include those topics in your brief. You have a killer brief for your content, because then you're covering every single topic that is covered. And make sure your content, again, it goes back to the same principle. Why are you creating the content? How are you adding values to your reader, especially when there's already content exist for those topics? If your content is better than top 10 results that you see for the same keyword, it is almost guaranteed that you are going to rank higher. And then one of the other things that you could do before you end it and your brief creation is that go to Google, leverage the search engine result page sort of data, search for the keywords. For example, if I'm trying to create a content for content gap analysis, I can see what are the other things that people are asking, which kind of shows towards the end, like tool, template, examples. And then you can even compare how a SEMrush content gap analysis tool is different than Ahrefs, the same tool that they have, right? So you can leverage and be creative about things that you can add on your content, and you can also leverage, people also ask section. This is very useful. It goes back to the same discussion that Lida and I was having, is the structured data. You could actually use those for FAQs, right, towards the end as well, and just add structured data, which will help you to rank in the SERP, obviously, for feature snippet and things like that. One other trick that you could also apply, add asterisk before or after, which will give you more opportunity. So typically, if you type something, Google will tell you what is after that text or the keywords that you have. But if you add an asterisk before, which is a trick that I love to use, to see, what are the questions that people ask? What are the things that people add before that keyword that I'm putting here, so that I can see, how to develop a content gap. gap analysis, and then the free content gap analysis tool. So it's pretty cool, like things that you can see, like literally from running few searches on Google, especially because they obviously still have the majority market share. You could get tons of data, which most of the tool you have to look through different tools. So you can look at Answer the Public or Uber Suggest and a bunch of other tools that you have. You have to combine all of those data to come up with this. So you could also use the manual process, which will definitely help you get the same result. But by doing this, you will learn a lot more than you would learn from the tool. Any thoughts on this, Lydia?
I love this. I had totally forgotten that you can do that. And I just went on and typed in within the chat while you were talking, there were conversations about how to get keyword relevance from the content gap. So I shared the template that I was talking about earlier. And, you know, writing about this has been on my list of stuff to write about for forever. So I went on to Google, used this trick that you just shared, and I typed in keyword relevance, and it said SEO keyword relevance. So that is my new keyword now. I will be writing about this. Awesome tip. I was really concerned. I kept working about like keyword relevance score, but that's very PPC. So thank you.
No worries. One of the side trick that I would like to mention, which I love doing, before we publish any single blog or anything that we publish on our site, or even in general in my personal sites as well, I always search the keyword in Google to see the intent of that keyword. Sometimes I think this is a transitional keyword. I'm always surprised that Google think otherwise, which is very interesting. I'm sure you have seen the same thing as well. And moving into a few more slides, literally, just stay with me. If you have content already created, you could use MarketMuse, a tool that actually is very good for brief creation as well as the optimizing the existing content. So this will not help you create new content per se, but explore their tool. It's awesome. I think it's free to use to begin with. But if you have an existing content, so let's just say if I put SEMrush, so this is Search Engine Journal talking about content gap analysis. You can see the topic that you could talk about it, which isn't present in the content, how to do a content gap. So you're scoring very low. Whereas like this says that you should, because literally this is the article about content gap analysis. You're not talking more about how to do a content gap analysis, more instruction, right? Templates. They could probably come and take Lydia's template and just like plug it there, give her a credit, and things like that. So definitely utilize this to find gaps within your content that, the previous way that I was showing, that do it manually, check top 10 competitors and then come up with your own analysis. But you could also use tools like this. But this is going to work if you have an existing content that you can run it through tools like that. And then the last one, promise, hopefully, the Search Console data. So this is an example from our site, content
Can
site.
I say a thing about the tool before?
Absolutely.
You can also use SEMrush's SEO Writer Assistant. I think that's the name of the tool. And they've got a browser extension that gives you 10 articles for free or something like that. So it's a neat trick.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you. I actually didn't know about that. I'll definitely explore this next time in our content.
I use it all the time because it helps me with improving readability as well. I really like it.
That's another thing that I don't think when we write content, we care most of the time, like we don't look at the readability of it. We just like think this is how I think it should be, but how is search engine perceive the content might be completely different, right?
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the tips. Definitely very useful. For the Search Console, now here, what I love about this is the opportunities that you will see here. Filtered by, so go to search result and then filtered by last 28 days. I prefer to do it over 28 days. Then it gets, I get more fresh data. And then filtered by impression. You will be amazed by seeing the opportunities that you see here. Like we recently started doing this, and we see significant improvement in our ranking. So these are your existing content that you're getting quite a lot of impression, and you ranking within, let's say, 4 to page 2, almost page 2, or like within 6 to 10, and your clicks are lower because obviously you are not ranking higher. The interesting thing you could also see is like click-through rate. Disclaimer here, these data might not be 100% accurate. Obviously, this is a guidance. I typically see this as a guidance, not a source of truth. So for sure, be cautious when you use this data. Things that you could do, literally the same thing. Just pick one of the keyword that you are getting quite a lot of impression, but not enough click, but you are within page, let's say 1, but you're not at the top. Take this keyword, search, and then your page, and then search for that same keyword. Apply the same method that I was showing. Look at the 10 competitors to see what is the gap that you have on your content, which is why Google isn't giving you the ranking that you deserve. And then you will see significant improvement if you do it right. Obviously, apply write the content, revamp it. Don't revamp it completely. Keep some relevancy, obviously. Refresh it. And then you see, just track and monitor. So literally going back from this point is like literally double the content strategy, write high quality content and promote and distribute it amongst different channels that you have. Most importantly, monitor. Like there's no alternative of monitoring your results, because then you wouldn't know whether this is definitely helping you or not, because otherwise you are wasting time that you don't know that you're wasting, right? You could use that energy for something else, which is why monitoring is quite important. I use this slide because I saw that you had a slide called "Tada," and then you deleted that, but I kept mine. But yeah,
because my GIF never works in the slide. I wish it did. It just never does.
Awesome. So this is the end. Let's just quickly chat about some of the questions that we have. I think there are a few for you. I think the first one that I saw a little bit earlier was about the editorial content. So someone wanted to know what is editorial traffic? How do you define it, and what is it?
Yeah, so editorial content is the type of content that's just meant to be informational and read. You funnel people down, and it's typically found in the blog section, in the resources section. It can be a white paper. It can be a how-to guide on how to use whatever aspect of your product. So that would be the editorial content.
Okay, awesome. And I think I'm not sure if you replied to some of those questions here. The one was about backlink campaign. Do you focus on digital PR? Do you also do guest posts and link building?
So my favorite thing is, like, if I could just run this on my own, I would do digital PR, but not in the classic come up with a data study and share it with the world, because we've seen a lot of data studies, digital PR-led studies that they're not relevant to the brand, like there's just a bunch of amalgamated data with a brand logo, and sure, it gets you links, but does it get you any referral traffic? Does it get you any positive branding association? But are you just like getting links for the sake of links? So my favorite techniques are Harrow and journal request. So it's following requests of journalists who are looking for expert sources within your niche to give them some information. So typically you help them out, and you're either building a relationship or you are getting the link, and they're much more likely to write to you if you have a rich author page. So if you have a set of authors or a set of experts that you want to elevate their profile of, you just go and put them in front of the journalist, build out a beautiful bio page, and it just works a little nicer. You're more likely to get a deep link to the author page that communicates the expertise of the author. Oh, the mic has dropped again. Is this better?
Yeah, a little bit better than it was before.
Okay, that's fine. We're doing it Britney style. It's going to be working a little bit better. The link is deeper, so it's not just to your homepage, and it helps the journalists show off the quality of the sources that they are using. So Harrow and journal requests, my very favorite tactic. Now there's other tactics that are also quite interesting. For example, building pieces of content that have linking intent. So when we are writing our content and you know this better than anybody, we're usually trying to prove that we know what we're talking about with official statistics.
Mm-hmm.
So you can create your own data and make reports. So for example, we could do a report on the state of composable technologies. And that would get us like a list of statistics that are unique to us. But
Mm-hmm.
when people are looking for composable technology statistics or headless architecture statistics, or how many headless CMSs are there in the world, or how widely used are they? If we have the data and you want to link back to us, that is a linking intent kind of piece. Now, this relies on your piece ranking #1 on Google or in the top 3,
Mm-hmm.
satisfying the intent of your user, which is finding a statistic that's going to reinforce their point and
Mm-hmm.
being just beautiful and reliable to link at. You don't want to link to a spammy page that looks spammy. You want to link to an authoritative source. So that is my second favorite strategy for link building. That is how I would approach it if I had all the time, money in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of guest posting, but I think guest posting can really work when you're going to be very targeted to, like, you're posting in a site that is actually relevant to your audience. So for example, in the past, I have done guest posting with partners. If we have a technology partner, I've not done this at Sanity, but I've done it in other gigs. We have a technology partner and we share a target audience, but there is a type of content that would make more sense on their side. I offer to write it for them, and then they're more than happy to link back to our site because we've been providing the content. And it's not just an irrelevant byline link, it can be deeper or it
Mm-hmm.
can be to the byline, you know? I really don't like linking for the sake of linking. I really like building a brand when I'm link building.
That is fair. And I think well, the partner strategy is definitely amazing. We'll definitely have to give it a try. And I think it's a hidden gem because not until you mentioned it, I wasn't thinking about it. Oh my God, this is a great opportunity that you could actually
Yeah, you have
utilize.
a relationship already. If you have
Right.
a partnerships person within your company, it's as easy as what are your partners? Give me the list, download the list, run it through a authority score section. Who's got a blog in it? Do they have contributing writers or is everybody staff writer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no. Do they have the piece of content that I want to write already in their website? Yes, no. Who owns this relationship? And I go, hey, Billy, I want to write about headless commerce for this headless commerce partner. Can you put me in contact with them? And we'll provide the content. And
Absolutely.
it's much more relevant and it helps build that relationship already.
Now that you're talking about this, I think we'll probably write a little bit about headless CMS and then probably work with you
Do it.
and
Link
get
to
some
us.
data. Absolutely.
Sanity.io/headless CMS.
And do follow link, not no follow.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, it is definitely amazing having this chat. I love to continue, but I feel bad that it's already like 7 p.m. in the UK. So I'll leave you go. Just a quick note. I see still there's quite a few questions. I promise I will either forward those to Lydia or I'll take care of it. I'll follow up with her as well to answer all the questions that you have here. Amazing bunch of audience that definitely loved the interaction. One announcement that I have. So one of the personal project that I'm working on through the company is that I'm taking 10 websites. So things that I talked about today, the content piece, content gap, as well as the technical gap. So I will take 10 websites. You have to work with me personally, and we'll help you with content. If you need to refresh your content, we'll help you with content without any cost. But you have to share obviously your data so that we can analyze it and see the impact of it. From technical side, we do have a technical SEO experts in-house. We will help you identify and solve some of the issues if we can, and then see the impact of it. So 5 for technical SEO experiment and 5 for content gap experiment. If you are interested, please reply to the email that we will send out after the webinar. And yeah, and obviously if you want to have more questions, we'll definitely take it from there, but it's first come first serve basis. So if you want to, definitely be part of that. Any final thoughts, Lydia, that you'd like to share with the audience?
Nothing, just that what you just offer is super, super cool. If I had a site to give you that's not like my corporate site, I totally would.
I'll keep you in the I'll keep you in the loop for sure for the study, and I'll share
Love
the
it.
data.
That's so cool. I'm looking forward to seeing the data and what you uncover.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone. And I really, really appreciate your time, Lydia. And it was really amazing. I learned a lot personally, and I'm sure the audience loved it a lot as well. We'll definitely have you over around probably after you're done with your Brighton SEO and all the crazy tour that you have for your
Yay. I can
conferences.
see you at Moscow if you're coming this summer.
Yes, we'll sponsoring that for sure. I'll try my absolute best to go and
Yay.
Seattle. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful evening or afternoon, wherever you are. And thank you, Lydia. Really appreciate that. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. All
Okay.
right.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.